You're either a spirit man or you're not. You either have the faith of Abraham or you don't.
For so long, I've sort of lived like I'm a mammal, but I've got this North Star. As I'm talking to Jesus, I keep telling him, like, I'm a spiritual being. I know you want me to be a spiritual being.
We're not going to become a chimpanzee just because we're in a pen of chimpanzees.
We just need to liberate ourselves from all the garbage that keeps us from being a spirit being.
Because you don't become supernatural without a cross. All you become is religionized. But when you see the spirit man, and you can't explain it, you know, unlike any other man, and yet so much like me, everything about what was ever important to me changed.
Given over to its creator, it's a bunch of spirit beings that are like the wind.
Flying is not about wings.
Just felt like it was like flushing out so many things that I've been sort of considering and praying about over the last several months. But one thing that's just come back to my mind a lot, like when I'm talking to Jesus, I have this thought, like, it sounds so weird. It's not like the way I'm wired, but it's like I am a spiritual being. And I'm a very nuts and bolts guy. My brain is wedges and levers. I mean, I know Satan and he's influencing and all, but for some reason over the last several months, like as I'm talking to Jesus, I keep like telling him, like, I'm a spiritual being. I know you want me to be a spiritual being. I don't know what that means, but, and even like yesterday I was working at Starbucks and I just paused and I'm just talking to him and I'm just like, that's what comes to mind is I'm a spiritual being. Even though it's somewhat uncomfortable to think about that because it's like I feel in my heart kind of what it means, but I can't really put words on it. But it's like for so long I've sort of lived like I'm a mammal, but I've got this North Star. And he's sort of like,
That's a good distinction.
he's sort of like, no, you need to exist up here. Like I think about the earth and you've got the sky and you've got the galaxy and then he's out here and it's sort of like, no, you need to exist here with me and see the matrix, the ones and zeros of the work you're doing, of your physical body. And there's, I don't know if you've seen, my brain just pulls from random things. I don't exactly have scriptures to like buttress what I'm thinking about.
It's perfectly well said.
But there's that guy who died, and it was what, I don't know how many days he spent in heaven in a coma.
18.
Yeah, 18 days. So I don't know if you've seen.
No.
It's pretty extraordinary. But at the very beginning, he dies from a skateboarding accident, and then he's like, he's looking at his body laying there dead. And he's like, wow, that's not me. Like I'm not my body. And sort of like all of that together, I just started to feel maybe a little bit more of a picture of, who Jesus wants me to be, us to be as like spiritual. I don't know. It's so weird. It feels like hippie stuff. Like I'm a spiritual being, but like for some reason I couldn't get it out of my head. And I felt like it's what, he wanted to make a little bit more real for me. So anyway, just talking about Martin Luther and all that stuff last night, like it felt so much more like where what I've sort of been working through in private as, what does it mean to see the spiritual world as, anyway, it's very, it's hard for me to exactly put my finger on, but I feel it. I just don't know how to say it, but it just did feel like it really just, fleshed out a lot more of, what I'd kind of been praying about for the last while.
Yeah, I mean, that is perfectly well said. That is the right way to see life, is that I was trying to find this song that played for somebody a couple days ago. I'm just a heartbeat away. I don't know what the name of the song is, but we're so much more than we seem to be. And it was the empty shell that you see in front of you now. That's not me. Mm-hmm. I will always be just a heartbeat away from you. And when you're talking, that's reminded me of the song I played for somebody else a couple days ago. But I don't know the name of the song or the one I'm referring to.
I know the one you're talking
Just
about.
a heartbeat away.
Well, there's a line in the song that Martin Luther wrote. Well, I don't remember it perfectly, but he said, like, the body they may kill. But I don't remember what was after that. But, like, having that vision of, like, once I die, like, the story has barely been interrupted. It's just a different plane to live on that I want to be at. Anyway.
Yeah, well, if you don't live there, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And you know you're making. The Matrix is a good analogy because you can be absolutely oblivious to the real world and not know it, and intentionally blind yourself to it, like
Cypher did, right? I know the steak isn't real, but it tastes good, so I'm going to do it anyway. But if you're a spiritual being and you know your short visit in this matrix world is just an illusion anyway, ones and zeros, then I'm going to make the decisions that reflect my priority system, which is the unseen world. So principalities and powers, yes, not the little Jiminy Cricket, good guy, bad guy on each shoulder whispering in your ear. And, that makes us gods sitting in the middle on the throne, deciding who we listen to. But if you understand yourself as a spirit being, you're going to make a whole lot of different decisions than if you're just trying to be a good boy or get away with something or make somebody happy, or like, what does that even mean in the spiritual world? Being a man pleaser, seeing men after the flesh. How dumb is that? If you're a spirit being, that stuff doesn't even make sense anymore. Your reputation, your comfort, your wealth, even your hunger. That was one of the breakthroughs for me when I was 33-ish and fasted for 40 days. 4 or 5 days in, I realized I didn't need food. That wasn't who I was. So, I wasn't that I wasn't hungry, but I realized I didn't really need food. And two days in, whoa, did I need food? Yeah. But 15 days in, I realized that's not who I am. That is not who I am. That's an impulse. It's a mammal impulse, but it doesn't affect at all who I am. So that was a huge breakthrough for me that I didn't expect it. I wasn't trying to get anything out of the 40-day fast, but I got a lot out of it.
So it's hard to convince somebody of something that they make their living from was wrong. That's the topic, really. If it cuts me and I don't like it, then I choose to not believe it, whether it's true or not. That's a normal human situation because it makes sense on the bullets. The thing that protects me. Surely I can find a way around this problem. We're clever. We can find a way. That's why we exist in a mammal world. We're not the strongest. We're not the fastest, but we figured it out. That's what Darwin would say. Survival of the fittest. We're not the strongest. We're not the fastest of all the mammals, but the circle of life and the food chain. We shouldn't even be here, right? Except we're just smart. So we use that same smartness to protect us from the lions and the bears and all that. We use that same smartness to protect our own egos. And that says, I want to find a way that this wouldn't be true, or that there's at least an equal way that I can opt for, because I don't want to, the scribes and Pharisees were different than Jesus because he taught as one with authority, right? These are a bunch of truths, and this guy wants me to change. Ooh, that's a different world, right? Because change hurts. And changing my opinion or changing my doctrine or academic subjects that I learn or unlearn, that's fairly cost-free. But when it goes all the way to my heart, core of who I am, my identity, that's take up your cross, deny your very self. Those are death things. And nobody wants death things unless there's hope on the other side of it that's better than what I had. So that's why you've got to kind of come to the end of who you are to want it bad enough to pay that price. As long as I still think I can work it out on my own terms, then we'll be the clever mammals that survive the bears online. But that's not how you become spirit being. And to be a spirit being is a whole different topic. You got to die to the physical, and is not fun necessarily. Kingdom is entered through great knowledge, much tribulation. Through much tribulation, you got to die to that. That is very easy to avoid. That's your inclination, is to avoid pain. Well, that's not what most humans take their role to be Christians. I just attend church. I'm a Christian. I need to lead a good life most of the time. But this takes a whole different view of things. And even though that's not what the purpose of the song was from the guy who wrote it, it's pretty important.
Just call and I'll be there. You'll find me everywhere. Just reach out for me. I'm never far from where you are, 'cause I am just a heartbeat away. I know from where you are, it's hard to understand. The empty shell you see is not who I am. And don't you worry, don't you cry, I haven't left, I'm by your side. I'm just a heartbeat away. I'm with you every day, though your eyes can't see. Just a heartbeat. Just call and I'll be there. You'll find me everywhere. Just reach out for me. Just a heartbeat. I'm never far from where you are, 'cause I am just a heartbeat away. You'll find me in the stars that shimmer in the dark. Hear me in the breeze that blows through aspen leaves. You'll see me in the smile of a newborn child. We can share this place just a heartbeat away. There's so much more going on than you can see. We are so much more than we seem to be.
Recovery of thought. I write to you, children, because
Your sins are
sins
forgiven.
are forgiven. Great start. There's no place else to start. That's the good news of Jesus Christ. His blood, his sacrifice, his voluntary walk right into the jaws of death and hell and pain, suffering, humiliation, despising the shame. He didn't enjoy it. He hated it. Let this cup pass. Not my will, but yours. I write to you, children, because your sins are forgiven. I write to you, fathers. You're now responsible for other people, not just yourself, because
You're known by him.
you've known him who's from the beginning. You're able to see and experience a little bit of God's love, so you're able to pass that on. God's shepherding, God's teaching. You all ought to be teachers by now. You all ought to be a priesthood by now. You know, in the race, all the runners run, right? So, fathers, I write to you, fathers, and I write to you, young men. That's the part that song talks about right at the end. You're more than you can see. You're not a piece. You're not an audience. One single word shall fell. This violent, hateful, lying, deceptive, evil monster there's none on earth are his equal, as the song says. But you're more than you know you are. Be that person.